Welcome, dear listeners. This is a storyteller. And today, I invite you into a journey that is not about numbers, charts, or complex financial theories. No, this journey is about something far deeper: the psychology of money. You see, money is everywhere around us. It touches every corner of our lives: the food we eat, the roof over our heads, the choices we make, and even the dreams we dare to chase. But money is not just about arithmetic. If it were, then the smartest mathematicians would be the wealthiest people alive. Yet we know that's not true. The truth is, money is about behavior. It's about emotions: fear, desire, envy, patience, and hope. It is about how we see the world, how we measure success, and how we define what's enough. In this series, we will explore 5 timeless chapters from the psychology of money, not through dry analysis, but through living, breathing stories. Stories of ordinary people who made extraordinary choices. Stories of brilliance, luck, mistakes, greed, patience, and wisdom. So sit back, relax, and let the world fade away for a while. Because what you are about to hear is not just about how to get rich. It's about how to think about money in a way that may just change the way you live your life. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The man who lived simply died rich. Let me begin with a story. A story so simple, yet so powerful, that it shakes the very foundation of what we think it means to be wealthy. His name was Ronald James Redd. Not a billionaire, not a CEO, not a Wall Street genius. He was the janitor. Yes, a man who swept floors, fixed cars at a gas station, and lived in a small house in Vermont, USA. To anyone who passed by him on the street, Ronald was invisible. He wore the same old flannel shirts, drove a second-hand Toyota, and sipped coffee from the same diner for decades. Neighbors described him as ordinary. Some even pitied him. But here's where the story takes a turn. When Ronald Read passed away in 2014, at the age of 92, the world gasped. Because this quiet janitor, this ordinary man, left behind a fortune of $8 million. Yes, you heard that right. $8 million. The news spread like wildfire. How could this man, who never owned a business, never flaunted wealth, and never even seemed ambitious, die so rich? The answer wasn't luck. It wasn't lottery winnings. It wasn't even a secret inheritance. The secret was far simpler and far more powerful. Ronald Read mastered something most people ignore. He mastered the psychology of money, the hidden definition of wealth. You see, society trains us to see wealth. We notice a new BMW on the road, the luxury watch on someone's wrist, the mansion at the edge of town. That, we assume, is wealth. But here's the truth. Wealth is what you don't see. The flashy car may be a sign of debt. The mansion may be built on fragile loans. The true millionaire might be the man quietly fixing your car, saving his dollars, and investing them patiently. Ronald Read lived his life without the need to prove anything to anyone. No show, no competition, no envy. And because of that, his wealth grew quietly in the shadows. Think about it. Every dollar he didn't spend on unnecessary status became a soldier. A soldier he sent into the battlefield of compounding. And those soldiers worked for him night and day, multiplying quietly, relentlessly. The psychology behind Ronald's fortune. Most people think getting rich is about high income. But Ronald Read proved something radical. It's not about income. It's about behavior. He earned modest wages all his life. But he saved. He invested. He was patient. He let compounding do the heavy lifting. Imagine planting a small seed. The next day, nothing changes. A week later, still nothing impressive. But years later, that tiny seed has grown into a giant tree. That's how wealth works when guided by patience. Ronald understood this, not with fancy spreadsheets, but with quiet discipline. While others chase quick success, he embraced the slow, invisible growth of compounding. The psychological traps most people fall into. Now, pause and reflect. If building wealth can be as simple as what Ronald did, why don't more people do it? Because most of us fall into psychological traps. We want to impress others. We compare ourselves endlessly. We confuse income with wealth. We seek quick wins instead of patient growth. Let me ask you, How many people do you know who earn a big salary, but live paycheck to paycheck? They drive the newest car, wear designer clothes, dine in expensive restaurants. But if you looked at their bank account, you'd be shocked. That's because wealth is not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep. And more importantly, it's about the mindset you carry. Ronald never tried to look rich, and that's why he became rich. The lesson of enough, perhaps the greatest wisdom from Ronald Reagan's life is this. He knew what was enough. Enough food, enough comfort, enough shelter. He wasn't interested in chasing endless more. This is where psychology plays its greatest trick on us. Because humans are wired to want just a little bit more. A little more money, a little more status, a little more recognition. But the chase for more never ends. Even billionaires fall into this trap. It's like running on a treadmill that never stops. Ronald stepped off that treadmill. And in doing so, he built peace, patience, and lasting wealth. So what does Ronald Reagan's story teach us? It teaches us that the path to financial peace isn't about brilliance. It isn't about privilege. It isn't about earning six figures. It's about psychology. It's about mastering your mind before mastering your money. It's about patience. It's about defining your own version of enough. Think about it. Are you living to look rich? Or are you living to be free? Because the janitor who walked to work every day died with a freedom that most millionaires secretly envy. And with that, we close chapter 1. A story of a man who was never noticed in life, but whose choices became a lesson for the world. This is a storyteller, and in the next chapter, we will explore the fine line between luck and risk, and why success is never just about skill. Stay with me. The journey into the psychology of money has only just begun. Chapter 2, Luck, Risk, and the Fine Line Between Success and Failure. Let me tell you a story. A story about two young men who stood on the edge of history. It was the year 1968. At a private school in Seattle called Lakeside School, a group of students discovered something extraordinary. In a small corner of their library sat a computer terminal. Now remember, this was the late 1960s. Computers were not in every home. They weren't even in most offices. Back then, computers were the size of entire rooms, owned only by giant corporations or elite universities. But by a stroke of fortune, this tiny school had access to one. And among the students fascinated by this machine were two names you might recognize: Bill Gates and Paul Allen. The lucky break. Bill Gates was a curious teenager with a sharp mind. Paul Allen was equally brilliant, obsessed with technology. The two spent countless nights coding on that terminal, writing programs, testing ideas, and falling in love with the world of computing. Now here's the question. How many schools in America in 1968 had a computer available for students to experiment with? Almost none. The odds were almost impossible. But Lakeside School did. And that one stroke of luck, that one chance access, changed the course of history. Because those long nights at Lakeside planted the seeds for what would become Microsoft. Luck, skill, and perspective. When we hear about Bill Gates today, we often think he was a genius. He worked hard. He was destined for success. And yes, he was brilliant. Yes, he worked hard. But let's not ignore the other truth. He was lucky. Lucky to be born in the right place, at the right time. Lucky that his parents could afford Lakeside School. Lucky that his school had a computer when almost no one else did. Now, compare this with thousands of other kids across the world, equally smart, equally curious, but without access to that opportunity. Their names are forgotten, not because they lack talent, but because they lack that rare stroke of luck. The forgotten names. Here's something few people know. In that same era, another brilliant young man named Kent Evans was Bill Gates' close friend. Kent was just as talented, just as driven, and was part of the Lakeside Computer Group. But fate played a cruel trick. At the age of 17, Kent died in a tragic mountaineering accident. His story ended before it even began. Now think about it. Bill Gates himself once admitted, if Kent had lived, he would have been the most successful of us all. But Kent wasn't lucky. He didn't get the chance to live out his potential. And so, history remembers Gates and Allen, but not Kent Evans. This is the delicate balance of life. A razor-thin line between luck and risk. The psychological lesson. Here's the psychology at play. When we look at successful people, we admire their hard work. And yes, hard work matters. But we often ignore the silent partner of success, luck. At the same time, when we look at failure, we judge harshly. We assume the person was lazy or foolish or lacked talent. But we forget the other silent partner, risk. Success is never just skill. Failure is never just weakness. Both are tied to forces beyond our control. The danger of a single story. Our minds love simple stories. We want to believe, work hard and you'll succeed. Or, he failed because he didn't try. But reality is messier. Sometimes you can work tirelessly and still lose because risk strikes. Sometimes you can be careless and still win because luck protects you. So what should we do with this truth? Should we give up? No. The answer is not despair. The answer is humility. Humility in success, grace in failure. If you succeed, don't ever think it was only you. Yes, your effort mattered, but so did timing, environment, and sheer chance. This humility will keep you grounded. If you fail, don't ever think you're worthless. Yes, mistakes matter, but sometimes risk strikes without mercy. This grace will keep you resilient. Bill Gates himself once said, I had a great head start. I had luck. I had opportunity. And I seized it. That humility is rare but powerful. The psychology of risk and money. Now, let's bring this to money. When we invest, when we save, when we plan, we love to believe we control everything. We study charts. We follow experts. We make predictions. But no matter how smart we are, risk is always present. Markets crash. Pandemics happen. Jobs disappear. These are risks we can't always see coming. On the flip side, sometimes we stumble into opportunities without planning. A property doubles in value. A business idea takes off. A small stock explodes. That's luck. So when dealing with money, the wise approach is this. Plan as if risk will strike tomorrow, but dream as if luck might bless you someday. A story of two brothers. Let me share another story. Two brothers, nearly identical in background, both entered the world of business. One brother took big risks, borrowed heavily, chased quick wins. For a while, he looked like the star. Fancy cars, big house, lavish parties. But then the market turned. The risks caught up. He lost everything. The other brother took it slow. Saved carefully, invested steadily, avoided flashy risks. For years, people mocked him. You're too cautious. You're missing out. But when the storm came, he survived. And when luck finally knocked on his door, he was prepared to receive it. This is the dance of money. Risk humbles the reckless. Luck rewards the prepared. Reflection for you. So let me ask you, when you see someone successful, do you only see their brilliance? Or do you also see the hidden role of luck? And when you face setbacks, do you blame yourself endlessly? Or do you remember that risk sometimes plays its hand? No matter what you do, the psychology of money reminds us success and failure are not moral judgments. They are outcomes of a world where chance, timing, and randomness are always at play. The wisest among us are not those who deny this truth, but those who respect it. And so, as we close chapter 2, remember this. Celebrate your wins with humility. Endure your losses with grace. Because in the grand theater of life, you are never dancing alone. Luck and risk are always dancing with you. This is the storyteller. And in the next chapter, we will explore one of the greatest illusions in money, the dangerous desire of never enough. Stay with me. Chapter 3, the seduction of wealth and the illusion of enough. Let me tell you a story of brilliance, power, and downfall. The man's name was Rajat Gupta. Born in India, orphaned at a young age, but blessed with an extraordinary mind. He clawed his way to the very top of the corporate world. From the dusty classrooms of Delhi to the Ivy League halls of Harvard to the glass towers of New York. By the late 1990s, Rajat Gupta was living the dream. He became the managing director of McKinsey & Company, one of the most powerful consulting firms on earth. He sat on the boards of Goldman Sachs, Procter & Gamble, and American Airlines. His net worth? Over $100 million. Respected, admired, invited to every room of influence. But here is the tragedy. For Rajat Gupta, it was not enough. The temptation. One evening, Rajat sat in a boardroom meeting at Goldman Sachs. The year was 2008. The financial world was collapsing. But inside that room, Rajat learned something no one else knew yet. Warren Buffett was about to inject $5 billion into Goldman Sachs, saving it from destruction. Most people would have walked away, content to be part of history. But not Rajat. He stepped out of that boardroom and made a phone call. A call that passed confidential information to a hedge fund manager. Within minutes, trades were made. Millions of dollars in profit secured. And just like that, a man worth over $100 million traded his reputation, his career, his freedom for a few more millions. The downfall. When the FBI discovered the leak, Gupta's empire crumbled. He was charged with insider trading, convicted, sent to prison. Imagine that. A man who had everything threw it all away, not because he needed more, but because he could not define what was enough. The illusion of more. Now pause here. Let's ask, why do people like Rajat Gupta or even billionaires like Bernie Madoff fall into this trap? It's because money carries a dangerous illusion. The illusion that just a little more will finally make us satisfied. A little more income, a little more fame, a little more recognition. But here's the truth. The word more has no finish line. It's like chasing the horizon. You take one step closer, but the horizon moves further away. Think about it. If $100 million isn't enough, what number ever will be? The ancient lesson. This is not a modern problem. Thousands of years ago, philosophers warned about it. The Stoics in ancient Rome said, "He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have." The human heart is restless, and unless we set boundaries, greed will devour us. The trap of comparison. Part of this illusion comes from comparison. We don't measure wealth in absolute terms. We measure it relative to others. You might earn $70,000 a year. You feel fine until you see your friend earning $100,000. Suddenly you feel behind. Then that friend feels secure until he meets someone earning $300,000. And the cycle goes on endlessly without peace. It's a game with no winner. Ronald Redd, the janitor we met in Chapter 1, understood this truth. Rajat Gupta did not. The psychology of enough. So what does it mean to have enough? It doesn't mean you stop dreaming. It doesn't mean you never strive for more. It means you set boundaries. You define a point where more money no longer improves your life. It only endangers it. Because beyond a certain point, more money doesn't bring freedom. It brings stress. It brings envy. It brings greed. The story of Bernie Madoff. Consider another story. Bernie Madoff, a man who once ran the largest Ponzi scheme in history. At the height of his career, Madoff managed billions of dollars. He had yachts, mansions, influence. But again, it wasn't enough. He wanted more. And so, he built a financial empire on lies. For years, he lived like a king, until the truth came out and the empire collapsed. Madoff spent the rest of his life in prison, disgraced. Ask yourself, why did a man with more money than he could ever spend risk it all? The answer is the same. He never defined enough. Reflection for you. So let me ask you, my friend, what is your enough? Is a certain income? A small house paid off? The freedom to take your children to school without rushing? The ability to choose your time? Because if you don't answer this question, the world will answer it for you. And the world will always say, not enough. Keep running. A simple example. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. At first, you're driven. You want to reach the top. But when you finally get there, you don't stop. You see another mountain in the distance, higher, more alluring. So you keep climbing. And then another and another until one day your body collapses. That's the danger of chasing endless more. The wise climber, however, knows when to pause, when to breathe, when to look around and say, this is enough. Money and peace. At its core, money is not about status. It's about peace. And peace only comes when you decide, I don't need to keep proving myself. I don't need to keep chasing more. Rajat Gupta had wealth, but no peace. Ronald Reed had peace, and in the end, true wealth. So what lesson does this chapter whisper to us? It whispers this: define your enough. Write it down. Protect it fiercely. Because if you don't, greed will write your story for you. And greed never writes happy endings. And with that, we close chapter 3. We've seen how the seduction of wealth can blind even the wisest. In our next chapter, we will explore the most powerful force in money, the invisible engine that made Ronald Reed rich, that built Warren Buffett's empire, the time machine of compounding. This is a storyteller. Stay with me. The story gets deeper. Chapter 4, the time machine of compounding. Let me tell you a story. A story about a boy from Omaha who turned patience into power. His name was Warren Buffett. Today, he is known as the Oracle of Omaha, one of the richest men alive, with a fortune measured in the tens of billions. But here's the question. What really built Buffett's wealth? Was it genius? Was it secret strategies? Or was it something far simpler? The answer is time. The early start. Buffett bought his first stock at the age of 11, a small investment. Nothing extraordinary. But what mattered wasn't the size of the investment. It was the timing. Because when you start investing early, you give your money the greatest gift of all, time to grow. By his 30s, Buffett was already a millionaire. But here's what most people miss. The vast majority of his billions came after his 60th birthday. Yes, after 60. The snowball. Imagine standing on a snowy hill. You bend down, scoop a small handful of snow, and pack it into a ball. At first, it's tiny, almost laughable. But then you roll it down the hill. As it moves, it gathers more snow. It grows. Slowly at first, then faster, then bigger. This is the secret of compounding. Money, like that snowball, gathers more itself over time. And the longer it rolls, the larger it becomes. Buffett didn't just build wealth because he was smart. He built wealth because he let his snowball roll for more than 8 decades. Why most people fail? Now, if compounding is so simple, why don't more people use it? Because it demands something most humans struggle with: patience. We live in a world of instant gratification. Click, and your food arrives. Tap, and your ride appears. Scroll, and endless entertainment floods your screen. So when it comes to money, we want the same. Quick returns, fast success, overnight riches. But compounding doesn't play that game. It whispers, wait, be patient, trust time. And most people don't listen. The mathematics of time. Let's put this into perspective. Suppose you invest $1,000. In 1 year, it grows 10%, becoming $1,100. That extra $100 doesn't sit idle. It begins to earn too. The next year, you're not just earning on $1,000, you're earning on $1,100. And the cycle repeats. Over years, the numbers explode. What looks slow in the beginning becomes unstoppable in the end. This is why Einstein once called compounding the 8th wonder of the world. Those who understand it, earn it. Those who don't, pay it. The psychology of compounding. But here's where psychology comes in. Compounding isn't just about math. It's about behavior. Because to benefit from compounding, you must resist 2 temptations. 1, the temptation to quit early. Most people invest for a few years, then stop, thinking it's too slow. But compounding only reveals its magic after decades. 2, the temptation to interrupt the process. Markets crash. Fear spreads. People panic, sell everything, and destroy the snowball before it is time to grow. Warren Buffett once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." A tale of 2 friends. Let me share another story. 2 friends, Adam and John, both started working at the same company. Adam decided to invest $200 every month. Starting at age 20, he kept doing it for 15 years, then stopped. He never invested another dollar. John, on the other hand, thought Adam was wasting his time. He delayed, At 35, John finally started investing the same $200 every month, and he kept doing it until he was 65. Now, who do you think ended up with more money at retirement? Surprisingly, Adam, the one who stopped after 15 years. Why? Because Adam's money had more time to compound. Even though he invested less, the snowball had a longer hill to roll down. This is the invisible power of compounding. Compounding beyond money. But let's expand our view. Compounding doesn't only work with money. It works with knowledge. It works with habits. It works with relationships. Read 1 page a day, and over years, you've read libraries. Exercise for 10 minutes a day, and over years, you've built a strong body. Invest kindness into relationships, and over years, you've built unshakable trust. Compounding is the hidden law of growth in every part of life, but only those who respect time can harness it. Why compounding feels invisible? Here's the strange part. Compounding feels boring at first. It's quiet, unimpressive. Watching your money grow in the first few years feels like watching paint dry. But here's the secret. Compounding is like a tree. In the early years, growth is hidden underground, roots spreading silently. Then, one day, the tree bursts upward, towering above everything else. Most people quit before the roots have time to take hold. The wise wait, and then enjoy the shade of the mighty tree. So let me ask you, my friend, are you rolling your snowball? Or are you waiting for the perfect moment? Because here's another truth. The perfect moment never comes. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is today. And once you start, the greatest skill you need is not brilliance, but patience. So, what do we learn from Warren Buffett, from Adam and John, from the snowball? We learn that wealth is not built in a rush. It is built in silence, in patience, in decades. The psychology of compounding is the psychology of faith. Faith that small steps, repeated long enough, will build something extraordinary. And that brings us to our next chapter. If compounding shows us how money grows, then the final lesson reveals why money truly matters. Not for luxury, not for status, but for something far more precious. Freedom. This is a storyteller. Stay with me. The final chapter awaits. Chapter 5. Money as a tool for freedom, not status. Money. We've been taught to chase it, flaunt it, and use it as a measure of success. Society often tells us, the bigger your house, the fancier your car, the more expensive your clothes, the more successful you are. But here's the truth. Money itself is neutral. It is neither good nor bad. Its value lies entirely in how we use it. Let me take you back to a simple story. Imagine 2 friends, Samir and Arif. Samir lands a high-paying job and immediately buys a luxury car and a huge apartment. He posts pictures online and everyone sees his success. Arif, on the other hand, takes the same salary but invests in skills, pays off debts, and builds a small emergency fund. A few years later, Samir is living paycheck to paycheck. Maintenance costs, taxes, and interest have eaten away most of his earnings. Arif, meanwhile, has the freedom to travel, take breaks from work, and even explore business opportunities. He's financially independent. The lesson? Money is most powerful when it buys freedom, not status. Money buys time, not just things. Time is the most precious currency we have. Money can give you choices. Choices about how you spend your days, who you spend them with, and what experiences you pursue. If you're working just to maintain appearances or to keep up with someone else's lifestyle, you are selling your time for something that will never truly satisfy you. True wealth is having the ability to choose how you spend your life. The trap of comparison. Social media and society make comparison unavoidable. But comparison turns money into a tool for proving something, to others, to yourself, rather than for building your own freedom. A key principle of financial wisdom is never spending to impress. Spend to live your life fully, not to earn someone else's approval. Align spending with values. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? Do I want a bigger house? Or do I want stress-free mornings and a peaceful home? Do I want a flashy car? Or do I want financial independence and time with family? Aligning your spending with your values converts money from a chain into wings. Financial independence is the real status. There's a quiet power in financial independence that no luxury car can buy. It's the freedom to walk away from toxic jobs, to take risks without fear, to pursue your dreams without being bound by a paycheck. Money as a tool for freedom allows you to design a life on your own terms, rather than being trapped in a cycle of consumption and comparison. Practical steps to use money wisely. 1. Track your spending. Understand where your money goes. Awareness is the first step to control. 2. Invest in yourself. Skills, education, and experiences provide long-term returns that no material item can. 3. Avoid lifestyle inflation. Just because you earn more doesn't mean you must spend more. Let your wealth grow, not just your possessions. 4. Build freedom funds. Emergency funds, investments, and passive income streams create options and security. 5. Focus on long-term goals. Think in decades, not months. Money compounds over time, and freedom grows with patience. Money doesn't define your worth. It defines the freedom you can create. When you start seeing money as a tool rather than a trophy, your life transforms. You stop chasing approval, stop running on a hamster wheel of debt and stress, and start designing a life where your choices matter. So remember this: status impresses, but freedom empowers. Your job is not just to earn money. It is to use it wisely, to free yourself, to create options, and to live a life that matters. In the end, the real wealth isn't in what you can buy. It's in the life you can live because of what you choose to do with your money. As we reach the end of this journey, take a moment to pause and reflect. Over these 5 chapters, we've uncovered truths about money that most people never learn. Chapter 1. We explored how money is emotional and how our beliefs shape our financial decisions. Chapter 2. We saw the danger of compounding mistakes and the power of compounding growth. Chapter 3. We understood that controlling your behavior is more important than chasing the market. Chapter 4. We learned that wealth is what you don't see, the hidden power of saving, investing, and patience. Chapter 5. And finally, we realized that money is a tool for freedom, not a trophy to impress others. The common thread through all of this is control. True financial mastery doesn't come from luck, inheritance, or even a high-paying job. It comes from understanding yourself, making deliberate choices, and using money as a tool to build the life you want. Here's the secret most people miss. The goal is not more money. It's more freedom. The freedom to live on your terms, the freedom to pursue your dreams, the freedom to spend time with the people you love, and the freedom to leave behind stress and worry. So take action. Start small, but start today. Track your spending. Invest in yourself. Build habits that grow over time. And always remember, money is powerful, but only when it serves your life, not the other way around. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to follow the crowd. Your wealth is not measured by what you show to the world, but by the freedom you create for yourself. And that, my friend, is the ultimate psychology of money. The art of living a life rich in choice, peace, and purpose. Hey friends, if you enjoyed this story and want to unlock more lessons that can change your life, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story, a secret, or a tip that can make your journey smarter, stronger, and more inspired. Remember, every story here is made to guide you toward growth, freedom, and success. So join our community today, and let's learn, grow, and win together.